Good morning. I'm Lindsay Bridges from Charlotte Center for Mindfulness, and I'm glad you're here. I want to say good morning to Scott and Maureen and Paul and Zachary. Glad all of you are here with us this morning, and whoever else might be either joining this live or listening to the recording later. Welcome to you all. This morning, we're going to start with sitting meditation, and then I have a sharing that continues us on our exploration of Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements. This week, we're doing part 2 of Don't Take Anything Personally. Before we start our sitting practice, I want to share a very short reading from Ajahn Susito. He's a monk in the Thai forest tradition, a British monk actually, and this is just a beautiful reminder of opening to kindness with deep wisdom as we practice. So listening to this short reading and finding what's useful in it for you as we then move into practice. In practice, we sustain and deepen the intent of kindness, irrespective of the various identities and shadow forms that arise in awareness. That's enough. We establish clear awareness and sustained kindness in the moment where impressions occur and where the responses arise. This is not about conjuring up any great feelings of emotional warmth, but rather a process of staying in touch, of not blaming oneself or others, of not going into the past to rehash old issues. The staying at that point of the hurt, ill will, or pain then begins to carry the awareness across to compassion and transpersonal wisdom. So we'll begin with sitting practice. I invite you to adjust your process, adjust your posture in whatever way best supports your body. Adjust your process too, in alignment with kindness and care. And from this place of sitting, I actually want to do just a couple of simple movement practices. I learned these from mindfulness teacher Heather Sundberg, and I've really been enjoying these. They are 2 movements of energetically orienting ourselves towards the field of kindness and compassion. So maybe we'll just start with our hands on our heart, just a moment if that feels comfortable to you. Allowing a sense of the warmth and the connection. Letting the body drop into a sense of being supported by the chair and the earth below. Maybe drawing in a couple of nice deep in and out breaths. And on the in breath, we scoop up from the earth below this energy of kindness, of care, of nurturing. And then bring it down, showering it down over the whole body, mind, and heart. Drawing it up showering it down. It's enough to feel into the intention of kindness without having to make or generate or force any kind of feeling tone to occur. Just opening to the intention of this as an act of care. Noticing we are living energy fields, and there's actually a way that we can orient and direct that energy. So, orienting and directing towards the energy, kindness, care, nurturing. Two more. And last one. Allowing the hands to come to whatever resting place feels comfortable for you. Pausing here for a moment. A couple of nice breaths in and out. Really opening up the field of awareness to the whole body, mind, and heart. Allowing yourself to know whatever's here, not what you want to be here, but a willingness to listen, deep, strong heart, this moment just as it is, whatever really is here. Distraction, crazy mind, discomfort, settling, calm, doesn't matter. Practice with the moment of being that best friend that's willing to listen and know what's here, and offering it a breath in and out. The second part of this sequence, and if you want, you can start with your hands on the heart. This is recognizing that we've generated this field of care, and it's possible to direct the energy outward to the world, to people you know and need, to anyone, anywhere. So drawing a breath in, releasing it out. So in then breath this time, we draw up the field of kindness, compassion, and care, and send it outward. Really, again, not so much about forcing any kind of felt sensation or sense. This is more about directing the intention towards goodwill and empathy, sharing that outward. The intention of sharing this with our world. Two more. Last one, feeling into the movement, the breath, and releasing outward. And allowing the arms, hands to rest back in whatever place feels comfortable for you. Opening up the field of awareness to the support of the chair, the floor, the earth. Waking up to being connected right with gravity. This very grounding, rooting way. Hold the earth. Noticing how right through that connecting downward there is this opening up skyward. So feeling the strength of that connection naturally lends to the spine, all the way from the tailbone, up through the back, the neck, out through the top of the head. If we were standing, we could call this a mountain pose, so allowing this to be a sitting mountain pose. Rooted downward, lifting skyward, and finding the breath. So for this practice, I invite you, if this feels useful for you, to choose one anchor. Maybe it's the breath, maybe it's listening, maybe it's the body, maybe it's a loving kindness practice. Doesn't matter what you choose, but some place that has a natural settling quality to it, where the awareness can rest. Beginning to let the awareness rest right down here. If it's the breath, feeling into that rhythm of life, the breathing in and the breathing out. It's not thinking about the breath, settling into the physical sensations of movement of breath in and out of the body. Feeling into the faithfulness of breath. Breath breathes in, it turns around and breathes out. I can control somewhat the length of an in breath, the length of an out breath to a certain extent. But no matter how much in control I might try to exert, an in breath is going to be followed by an out breath followed by an in breath. There is a faithfulness of this breath to nourishing life in this body. What's it like to open up to some appreciation for that faithfulness, the automaticity and rhythm? Of course, whenever we settle into an anchor, the mind doesn't always stay. It pops here and there, goes everywhere. That's the second part of all practice. There's the settling, and then there's the knowing how to skillfully meet the distracted mind wherever it goes. Maybe it just pops off to something that has no particular charge or tone. You catch it, you see it, and just in this seeing it, it already vanishes. You sink naturally back into the breath. Other times it might have more charge, tone, undercurrent, pull, and to try to simply acknowledge and return straight to the breath. We're actually trying to force ourselves instead of being mindful, heartful, awake to this process of being alive, which includes meeting our difficult spots with care. So, at any point in this practice, the just settling in the breath is right where you are. Allow yourself to deepen in that rhythm. If things are going on in the awareness that need more attention, that need care before returning to the breath, here's some possibilities for working with those more difficult distractions with some wisdom and some kindness. I'm going to frame this in the 4 agreements that we're looking at in this group right now. The first 2 agreements. The first one is be impeccable with your word. Agreement means we choose this, we make a choice. Being impeccable with your word, as we looked at a couple of weeks ago, means not being willing to use words against yourself, to judge or shame or blame yourself for anything. To be impeccable with your word means to practice strong self-acceptance, deep care. I like to think of this as evoking those 3 qualities we've talked about before: goodwill, empathy, and letting go. When the mind gets pulled into something that's more difficult or challenging, what is a stance you can agree to make with yourself and take with yourself that has this strong heart to not demean, not blame, not shame, not judge yourself in any way for whatever's arising? Be impeccable with your intention and agreement to meet the moment with goodwill, empathy, and letting go. Try that on. What might that feel like, offer for you? Settling in the anchor as far as that rhythm gives you rest. Allowing all moments of wakefulness to be imbued these qualities of goodwill, empathy, and letting go. Being intentional with how you meet whatever distractions may arise. And the second agreement is don't take anything personally. This offered right in the heart of our meditation practice. This can be a contemplation for deep insight into the nature of who we really are in the context of everything else. You can use this second agreement, don't take anything personally, very specifically for a distraction that arises. When we fall into the habit traps of self blame, shame, judgment, we're taking it personally, that there's something personally wrong with us. Why can't I get this straight? What's wrong with me? Don't take it personally. Helps us reorient back to the reality of living with these very complex nervous systems connected to eons of evolution, biology, social, cultural, family. Very complex patterns. And what arises in this moment never has anything to do with something I see as just me. It doesn't actually exist. Whatever arises in this moment right now, feel what's here. It is an interweaving all of these aspects of the larger whole, which we're never separated out from. So practicing with how does offering this agreement of don't take anything personally either the calming or the distracting. All of it natural arising results this interweaving. How does this support your practice? Try it on for yourself. And in these last couple of minutes of our practice, seeing what it's like to simply open to this moment of being, however it is, feeling this living energy of breath moving in and moving out. Really nice being able to practice with you all, even in this kind of odd virtual landscape. I still appreciate our sense of community. It's coming through for me. I hope you're feeling it too. So, a couple more messages. And I love Zachary naming that Scott is a friend of his. So, glad you're here, Scott. Good morning to Nancy and Terry, Emily and Beverly and Clara. Glad all of you are here and whoever else. If we were sitting in our room 213 at the Midwood Center right now, we would have this chance to go around the circle and really meet and greet each of us. So I invite you, if you want to put a message in the chat box, you can put a gratitude, you can put just a greeting, whatever you like there. And Beth is here. Really nice to see you, Beth. And Gary and Stephanie and Karen, welcome. Glad that y'all are here. I often like to use this moment to drop into that practice of gratitude. When things are challenging, gratitude becomes our strength. And it's really helpful to help ourselves break out of that tunnel vision, that survival mind, and wake back up to what's good. Great way to reorient. So I'll share a gratitude for me right now. I'm grateful for just a sense of quiet and calm in this moment that feels actually quite lovely. And so we got a couple more. Good morning to Alan, and Beth is saying, I'm so grateful to join you all. And Clark, glad you're here. Seeing Alan is reminding me about our Friday morning. Alan, I've enjoyed having you on Friday mornings and look forward to more, but you're reminding me I am changing the Friday morning meditation to 9 a.m. starting this week. It's a much shorter practice. We have just a tiny short sharing and then 5-10 minute set. So the whole thing is typically less than 15 minutes or in that range. So if you'd like to join 9 a.m. on Friday, would love to have you. And Maureen saying, I'm grateful for this session. Beverly, good morning to everyone. So glad to be here. Emily, grateful for porch sitting this morning with the birds chirping. I'm sitting in this room with the doors and windows all closed, and I can still hear them right outside that door, which is very sweet. Terry, grateful for this community. Me too. So if you want to add anything else, please do, and we'll be able to share and read those. This morning, we are continuing to look at Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements. This week, we're doing a part 2 on Don't Take Anything Personally. Before I move into that, I want to say last week in one of the Zoom groups, and I hope Karen doesn't mind me naming her, Karen actually mentioned I guess I did. I mentioned how much I appreciate him framing this in terms of agreements. And she wanted to know more about that appreciation. I had to pause and think about that. It was a great question and a lot of fodder for me to think, why does his framing of this in this sense of agreements strike me so helpfully? So this is just some of what came up for me. And I invite you, if this idea of making an agreement with yourself is useful for you, what is it about that that is helpful? So, what came up for me was that agreement somehow feels more purposefully binding than just setting my attention. I'm actually making an agreement to do this to the best I can. The agreement is not about perfection. The agreement is about practicing with me, perfectly flawed me, in all of my moments. And someone last night added onto it that agreement implies making a strong choice, that I'm making the choice to do this. And I really like adding that into it too. So there is this making an agreement, being willing to try to follow it. There's something more about the word than just that. There's a particular tone in the word agreement that I think is very helpful to pick out. For example, say you have two people who are in conflict and they come to some agreement of how to move forward. That implies that they found a mutually acceptable way to put down a fight. It implies some goodwill, which makes moving forward possible. So, this is really evident right in the root of the word agree. The root of the word goes back to please, to satisfy, to receive with favor, to take pleasure in. That that sense of the word agree, you can really hear it in agreeable. If the day is agreeable, it just naturally implies a sense of pleasant in it. And also, right in the root of the word is goodwill and welcome. So, if there is some sort of conflict, which we're often in with ourselves or in with others, coming to an agreement can be seen as finding some path that has goodwill and ease to it. If I carry all of these connotations into the idea of making an agreement with myself, I am in essence making an agreement to find a path of goodwill for me to be with me. That's a powerful agreement. Um, and agreements only work if they're followed. So I'm agreeing to make this practice of goodwill over and over and over. Whenever I fall off, which I will many, many times, that's not the point. The point is the agreement is to come back to this orientation, goodwill, empathy, and letting go. So, carrying this kind of understanding of the word agreement into Ruiz's second agreement, don't take anything personally. Last week, we looked at not so much how Ruiz does, but how this idea has been shared many, many times through this lens of knowing that we are truly so interwoven into everything around us that in actuality, there is no personal. It doesn't actually exist. It's a made up concept. It's sometimes useful, sometimes very not useful. But in reality, it's made up. When our eyes are really clear to the nature of these body, mind, hearts, the nature of the world, the nature of things around us, we understand there is no personal. It doesn't exist. So, in the context that this week we're going to look at is really from Ruiz's book, what he's pointing out is taking this idea of personal to hurts, blaming, shaming, judgments, right there, never useful. And he makes a very powerful case for this. He looks at this idea of agreement in two distinct ways. One, what others say about us, and two, what we say about ourselves. So, in terms of what others say about us. I love how he languages this. Very blunt and to the point. So he says, whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. If I see you on the street and I say, hey, you are so stupid, without knowing you, it's not about you. It's about me. You take it personally because you agree with whatever was said. As soon as you agree, the poison goes through you and you are trapped in the realm of hell. So he's making it clear that he really drives this home. We only take things personally from others, what we are willing to take as true about ourselves. Otherwise, there would be no reason that we would get mad, offended, upset. We simply wouldn't accept what they said. It would have no place to land. And I'm going to add one little addendum onto that. There's a variation in here that's really helpful to highlight. It might be, say somebody says something to me, and I'm not taking that personally. I don't actually buy what they're saying is true about me. Like they look at me and they say, "Hey, you are so stupid." I'm not actually buying that about me, but I'm still like rustled over the whole thing. What I know about myself in those situations is that then I can get offended at the idea that someone thinks that is true of me. It's another way of taking it personally. How someone trying to take it personally, how someone else perceives me. I can't control that. So anytime someone is saying something to us that we are bristling over in some way or another, there is a way in which we are buying in to some degree, in some way that needs letting go of. So, his advice, see those words as reflections of having something to do with them, not us. He goes on, he says, what they say, what they do, and the opinions they give are according to the agreements they have made in their own minds. That person tries to send poison to you. And if you take it personally, then you take that poison and it becomes yours. They can hook you easily with one little opinion and feed you whatever poison they want. And because you take it personally, you eat it up. You eat all of their emotional garbage. And now it becomes your garbage. But if you don't take it personally, you're immune in the middle of hell. Immunity to poison in the middle of hell is the gift of this agreement. And he means this at very large levels. Another point, he says, the whole world can gossip about you. And if you don't take it personally, you are immune. Someone can intentionally send emotional poison, and if you don't take it personally, you will not eat it. To learn to stand strong in this agreement is a particularly powerful way of being in a world where people chronically lash out at each other, growingly chronically lash out more and more at each other. Second part, what we say about ourselves. All of the ways that our own minds create self-judgment, self-blaming, self-shaming habits. Reeves points out we carry many divided voices in our own minds. He compares it to a huge marketplace with thousands of people bartering, talking and bartering at the same time, each with a different thought, feeling, point of view. That's kind of a helpful metaphor of understanding how there's not like one us. There is this being that's carrying all of these influences from so many places. And they're coming up in these many, many sometimes divided, crazy voices all around us. So we need to understand this kind of loud cacophony of voices that's not necessarily all helpful. So we have to have some practice to use wise discernment to navigate the mind. And even though he doesn't specifically say this in this chapter, the first agreement is a great place to start with this. Be impeccable with your word, meaning take great care with how you speak to yourself. And then don't take personally any of the crazy messages your mind might create. Don't let yourself poison yourself and eat garbage with those messages. Finally, the last thing I want to say is something that he doesn't actually clearly spell out in this chapter, and it needs to be here. It's an important part of this agreement of don't take anything personally. So, if someone gives me the message that I'm saying something that is hurtful for them, here's what Ruiz does point out very wisely, very helpfully. It hurts not because of what I actually said, but rather because this person has a wound on which those words land. If they had no wound, my words wouldn't cause them any pain. Getting clear on this is really helpful because it keeps us from trying to take responsibility for something that might not be ours. And this leaves something out if we stop there. I want to learn how to use words that are less likely to fall onto wounds. We are very tender, wounded people. And not taking things personally doesn't mean I reject all the messages that I'm getting back, that I'm actually being hurtful in a way that's not helpful. I want to learn to use words that cause less harm, that are more likely to open doors to mutual healing. So, this second agreement needs the strong backing always of the first. Be impeccable with my word. It means it needs my willingness to be open to learning and growing always in response for how my words are landing with others. It's not useful to go into reactive self-blame for poor use of words. It is highly useful to use any feedback and to make an effort to do wise learning from any wise learning needed from the feedback. So don't take anything personally. How might that be useful for you? Well, let's pause for a moment right here. If you were to offer this agreement to yourself, with whatever's arising in this moment right now, how might that lens be helpful for meeting this moment? Thank you. I have just a couple of announcements. One, I'm putting together two more Introduction to Mindfulness classes. One is as they will start mid-June. They're on the website. Sign-ups open for the Wednesday night. I think it's June 17th. One, there'll be 4 sessions, an hour and 15 minutes, 6 to 7:15. Would love to have anyone join. Please help share that word that this class is online, that this class is available. The second one I'm specifically offering to people doing caregiving work in our community. I've reached out to Loaves and Fishes, Crisis Ministry, communities and schools, organizations like that, for any staff who are involved in trying to help support our larger community, who might want this course. So if you know people that fit into that second category for that class, please reach out to me, and I would love to share. The second class is going to be on Monday nights, with anyone that would like to take that one. Um, the second class is freely offered by Charlotte Center for Mindfulness, and any support from our community to help give this gift to community workers is appreciated. All of our offerings are always freely offered, or sliding scale, pay as you are able model, and any support that you would like to share with making these resources available. We appreciate it, and have a donation button on our website. And just knowing that many of you are beautiful supporters of the work that we do here. I just want to name that. And I appreciate doing this work with all of you who are showing up here. And last reminder, Friday morning, 9 a.m., if you want a short meditation. Uh, we need to put a link for the Zoom room, and I'm realizing I forgot to get it. So let me get it real quick. If you have not joined us for our informal community Zoom room gathering which will happen right after we close here, we would love to have you. There, I got it. It's just an informal chance to say hi, see each other, which is really kind of sweet, and just do a little bit of practice sharing. So please do join. Oops, I had to hit the return there. So there's the link. Before I open up the Zoom room, I will also put the link in the description box for this YouTube. If you can't get it for some reason out of the chat box, I've heard some people say that can be hard. Refresh your page once I close this, and the link will be there in the description box in just a moment. So let's sit together. For those of you who are going to join in the Zoom room, I look forward to seeing you in just a moment. And for those of you who are going on into the rest of your day, knowing that I am sending you good wishes for a lovely, good day. So let's sit for a moment. Noticing whatever's here in this moment. Again, this is this practice. Moment by moment, opening up fresh again to a willingness to know, to meet and greet with goodwill, empathy, letting go. This moment, just as it is. May I have compassion and understanding for myself, just as I am. May we all have it for ourselves and each other. Compassion and understanding, opening to the joy and the freedom of understanding the world with greater clarity, wisdom, and kindness. Thank you.